Hello and welcome to another gameplay video of Magic the Gathering Arena. I am Luis Diaz and you are tuned in to Learning the Gathering. Thank you as always for watching my videos, and if you like what you see, feel free to subscribe and share my page with anybody that you think would enjoy this content as well. With that being said, I will just jump right into today's video. I promised you guys yesterday that I would show you my Mutate deck. So we're going to start off with that one today, get a game in, win or lose, and then we'll switch to another deck, try to get a second game in, and finish the video as always with a pack crack. We're going to crack a pack and see what we get, and yeah, that'll be it. So we'll start with the Mutate deck. Let's see what it has. This is, or it was, a pre-con deck. It's called Mutation Station. It's a blue-black deck. I've made changes to it to suit my playstyle, so it's not the original pre-con. I've added stuff like Ashiok, which is a planeswalker. It's kind of out of place in this deck. Oops. Yeah, it's out of place in this deck, but I run it because I do like the tokens that it produces, and its -7 ability is pretty good too. Here we go. -7 is you may cast up to 3 spells from among face-up cards your opponents own from exile without paying their mana costs. So you essentially get 3 free spells to cast when you use that -7 ability. Kind of pricey, but also a good effect. We have Sea Dasher Octopus, which is a good trigger for mutate creatures, as well as having the benefit of when you do deal combat damage straight to a player, you get to draw a card, which is always a good thing. You know, I don't think anybody ever complains about, oh no, I have to draw a card, you know. It's more resources, people, more resources. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump into a match and see what happens with this deck. It's been a long time since I've used it. Like, I've just been making and trying a bunch of different decks since I've been using this Mutate deck, and it's just kind of fallen to the wayside. But we'll give it a try, you know. Hopefully it's as good as I remember it being. Sweet Daddy G, I am not calling you that. Ideally, we would have started with a Mysterious Egg, which is a card that's a 0/2 for 1 generic, but it has an effect of when you mutate onto that creature, you get a +1/+1 counter on it every time you mutate. So obviously in a mutate deck, it's a card that just fits in well. We do have Sea Dashers, which I do like to have, but I also like to just mutate those straight onto a card as opposed to hard casting them. And it looks like we're gonna get mana flooded on this one. Just all mana and not, you know, well, it's early. It's early. And this is an annoying card because as his devotion to white gets bigger, so does his toughness. At the beginning of the turn it was a 3, now it's a 5, so in 1 turn his toughness jumped 2 points. Sea Dasher. And even though I would like to mutate that onto a creature, it also helps that now I have a creature on the battlefield that I can just mutate onto, even if it's not the sequence that I would have hoped. You know what I mean? Like, preferably I would have had Dreamtail Heron on the battlefield, and I would have just mutated Sea Dasher onto it to trigger a mutate, or to trigger Dreamtail's mutate effect. Chittering is a good card to have. I mean, I'm getting the same effect regardless. I will have my 3/4 flyer. Look at that. Okay. It's like we're getting all the cards that I wanted in reverse order, so... yeah. Get to draw a card because of Sea Dasher Octopus's effect. Pacifism, yep. Oh, it's annoying when you can just see things coming. His deck has a lot of synergy. And it's really annoying. No. You know what, just so you guys can see what Ashiok can do, we're gonna play that. The +1 creates a 2/3 Black Nightmare creature token with whenever this creature attacks or blocks, each opponent exiles the top 2 cards of their library. And that is how you get to that's essentially the pool that you pull from when you use the -7 ability. I don't know if we'll be able to live long enough to see it happen. Probably not. I mean, he just got really wide really quick. And that's one of the negatives about this Mutate deck, is it's not exactly a fast-paced deck. It's more of just relying on these triggers that you get from mutating to like bounce cards back to their hand or to eliminate creatures, but if you can't really get that ball rolling, you're really just sitting in a bad spot. Maybe we can start clawing our way back. Maybe not. I don't know what happened. He said oops, and then he said good game, and then he tapped out. I'm assuming he had something to do, and he just decided to end the game because he definitely still had the upper hand. He would have lost a creature. That's not how I like to win a game. And I don't think we have enough time. If I run another game with this Mutate deck, I don't think we'll have enough time to switch to a third deck. I mean, to a second deck for a third game. You know what? We'll run another one because I did tell you guys we would play this Mutate deck today. And that wasn't a satisfying victory for me. He tapped out for seemingly no reason. I'm not saying he didn't have a reason, but from my point of view, he had no reason, so... A dub is a dub, but I don't like a win just because my opponent tapped out. You know what I mean? And I know I should mulligan this hand, but we'll try to see what happens. I think my problem is I rely too much on, you know, drawing the cards that I need as opposed to having them already in my starting hand. But, I mean, I don't think we'll have too hard of a time. We can play Glimmerbell next turn, the following turn, mutate Sea Dasher onto it. Okay, you know, change of plans. We're gonna make our mutate creatures cost 1 generic less, which is what Polywog Symbiote does. What I don't like is that if you mutate or you cast a creature spell with mutate, you draw a card and discard a card, which I like the draw part of it. It's the discard part of it that I don't like, because check this out, right? So let's mutate Pouncing Shore Shark onto Poliwag. And if you don't know how mutate works, you essentially cast your mutate creature for the mutate cost. In this case, it's 3 and a blue. And then you pick a non-human creature. It has to be non-human for the mutate to take effect. Because of Poliwag Symbiote's effect, I drew a card and now I have to discard a card. But the thing is, I like all the cards that I have, so this effect really annoys me. I'll get rid of Archipelago because it's a big body and we don't have enough mana, and we won't have enough mana to cast it for a while. But again, I don't like discarding that card because it goes to the graveyard when you discard it. You know, and I don't enjoy that. I don't enjoy losing a card just for the benefit of having drawn a card. You know what I mean? There are situations where that's helpful, but I don't think... I mean, I personally don't like the whole draw one, discard one, because I feel like more often than not you discard a card that you really don't want to lose. You're just discarding it because it has less value than another card. You know what I mean? So now we start from the ground floor again, but again, we have a Sea Dasher, we have a Glimmer Bell, which is a cheap card. It's a 1 and a blue. So when I cast Island on my next turn, I'll throw out Glimmer Bell for 1 and a 2, and still have enough to mutate Sea Dasher on top of it. And Glimmer Bell does have flying, so I can fly right over the top of people and get straight to my opponent's face for Sea Dasher's effect to get the draw. Because when I do damage to an opponent's face with Sea Dasher, I get to draw a card. You'll see. I don't have any spot removal in the form of like instants or sorceries or anything like that, but some of these mutate creatures do have effects where they destroy an opponent's creature, like Chittering Harvester is a good one, which you would have seen last video, but the guy quit. So we'll get one to the face here. But really, why we do it is to get this draw from Sea Dasher. It gives us a 3/4 flyer. We untap because we don't have anything else to do with our mana. We don't have anything like Essence Scatter where we have to save 2 mana just in case. So we'll untap, have another blocker if we need it. 2 blockers. See, so we're ahead right now, but I don't feel comfortable. I feel like one of the downsides to mutate decks is there are too many ways to stop them from mutating. Like right there, boom. We already mutated twice, and both of those creatures already got destroyed. So every time that happens, you have to start from, you know, the ground floor. And if we would have blocked here, we would have lost Glimmer Bell, so we wouldn't, you know what I mean? We wouldn't be able to mutate onto anything. We would just throw a creature out onto the field. And that's not what you want to do, essentially, with mutate creatures. So here we will use Pouncing Shore Shark just to bounce that Spell Gorger back to the hand and make them use that mana again to cast it if they want to have it on the field that bad. So Pouncing Shore Shark doesn't eliminate an enemy creature, But you do force your opponent to pay that mana cost again the next turn to get that same creature out, which is an inconvenience. You know, it interrupts your opponent's flow, if you will. Because now, you know, instead of them having that creature out already, now they're like, oh, well, it got bounced back to my hand, so now I have to cast again and use that mana again, which kind of sets me back. You know, it essentially sets me back one step from where I want to be, because ideally your opponent would have had that creature out already, and they would have had, you know, their next play already planned out. But now you bounce them back, you sent them back a step, and now they have to just essentially redo their previous step. Or they could go another direction, you know, depending on what they drew. So instead of playing that Spellgorger, he decided to play the Storming Entity. But again, here's the beauty and the downfall of Mutate decks, right? So here we're going to cast Insatiable Hemiphage on top of the Pouncing Shore Shark stack, right? We're going to put him under because he's a little bit weaker. He's only a 3/3 as opposed to a 4/3. So we're going to put him under Pouncing. But again, Mutate creatures get the stats of the top creature and all the effects of that creature and everything under it. So basically anything in the stack is going to trigger when you mutate, right? So we're going to bounce this back to his hand, which frees us up for another attack. This is the beauty of it, right? Now the downfall is, if he has any way of getting rid of this stack of mutations, if he has any way of getting rid of the stack of mutations that I have right now, I have to start over, play a creature, mutate onto that creature, start a new stack, and that is the downside of Mutate decks. But if you can keep your opponent's side of the board clear like we're doing right now, it's beautiful, because you could just, you know, mutate, boom, bounce one back, or destroy one, depending on what you're mutating. Here he plays, you know, he wastes 4 mana getting this thing on the field, and we're gonna just mutate again. We're gonna mutate again onto Shore Shark when it's our turn, bounce that card back to his hand, and now he has no creatures on the field. So this is Mutate doing what it's meant to do. And when you can do this without getting interrupted, it's a beautiful thing. Because now, again, we're mutating, and all the creatures that we're mutating on top of are going to get triggered. Over under, it's really more about if you want that 1 point of attack or 1 point of defense. And see, he understands. He understood, like, okay, if I'm going to keep popping off one creature at a time, and I don't get rid of this problem, he's just going to keep doing the same thing. So he got fed up, he quit. I don't blame him. GG's. So yeah, first game, you saw the downside of Mutate decks. They're slow. They don't go wide as well as other decks can. This game, you saw the strong side of Mutate decks, where as long as you don't get interrupted, as long as your Mutate creatures don't get killed every turn like they were at the beginning of that match, you know, as long as you can keep mutating on top, or, you know, start one or even maybe a couple stacks, so you can get a little bit wide. But if, you know, ideally you can keep mutating onto one creature just multiple times, it can be a beautiful thing, is what I'm saying. And that's why I have a weak spot for Mutate creatures. So, you know, I was going to switch to a third deck and play one more match before we end this video, but lately these video clips have been cutting off on me for whatever reason. I think I'm using up too much data, so before we get to that point, we're gonna end the video, right? We're gonna go ahead and open a pack. Like I said, at the end of every video, I'm gonna try to open a pack. We have Ikoria, which we opened in the first couple videos. I think today we're gonna open a Kaldheim, because there are a couple cards from Kaldheim that I actually have been wanting for a while. So we'll open one of these, see what we get. Okay. Not Vold, no Vold, Slumber Mound. Enters the battlefield tapped. When you tap it, you add 1 red mana for 3 generic a red and 2 greens and a tap, you can sacrifice this card, destroy a target land, and create a 4/4 green troll warrior creature with trample. So not too bad, I guess. Litjara Kinseekers. When Litjara Kinseekers enters the battlefield, if you control 3 or more creatures that share a creature type, put a +1/+1 counter on Litjara Kinseekers, then scry 1. A lot of text just to say that you get a 1/1 if you have, if you meet the criteria. The Blood Sky Massacre. So the first page of this saga, create a 2/3 red demon berserker creature token with menace. Not bad. Second page, second chapter. Whenever a berserker attacks this turn, you draw a card and lose 1 life. As long as it's early game, I don't mind that effect at all. Late game, I can see that putting you in a slight not crazy disadvantage, just slight, but 1 health in a close game can really make a difference. Third chapter, add 1 red for each berserker you control. Until end of turn, you don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. So all in all, I'm not too impressed with that. I think the first chapter is the best part of that, getting a 2/3 red demon berserker token with menace. But yeah, I got a couple new cards there. I really want to open all these packs right now because I need wild cards, but I'll save that for you guys. We'll enjoy those together. So that brings us to the end of this video. Once again, thank you for watching. I would appreciate it if you could like and subscribe, like the video, subscribe to the page. But either way, I appreciate all the support, and I just hope you guys enjoy the content that I'm putting out there. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and win some matches today. Go out there and play. Go out there and enjoy some matches today. So good luck, get some dubs, have some good games. Peace.